mouse. I will read it out loud for you now. After having had this mouse for some time, I'd like to elaborate on some of the points I made about the mouse. First, the weight of the mouse. Now that I have gotten used to this mouse, the weight is perfect. Remember, I was coming from a very heavy RAT7 mouse that made me feel a bit shocked by how light this one is. This mouse feels great, and not that the mouse is the only reason, but I did manage to get from Silver Elite Master to DMG on CSGO playing with this mouse, and will not doubt hit the Global Elite down the road a bit. The mouse is very grippy in my hands, and this is very important. For instance, when you are zoomed in with a sniper rifle awaiting an enemy coming into your view from around a door or corner. Using more of a claw grip in these instances allows me a ridiculous amount of control over my crosshair movement. In other words, I can accurately move the mouse just a sliver in any given direction. A big part of this is probably due to the quality of the laser mouse in combination with my sensitivity settings, which for CSGO are 1.5 sensitivity, 0.80 scoped in sensitivity, raw input equals on, and my Windows sensitivity is on the middle tick mark with acceleration off. The buttons have held up superbly. They are still very responsive, especially with their clicky feedback. Of special note is the mouse wheel. The rubber tire-like covering on it works great, and the down-click motion is direct and not sloppy. You know how some mouses, when you try to click the middle mouse button, cause you to slip off the wheel or not be able to click it effortlessly. I haven't ran into that issue yet with this mouse. Still happy with this purchase, and I really cannot find a reason not to give it 5 stars. It looks cool, functions great, and has had very little issues. With that said, I am giving it 4 stars due to a driver issue and computer sleep mode issue. Whenever I put my computer to sleep and then wake it back up, I have to unplug and then replug the mouse to get Windows to recognize it. I googled this issue and nothing that would indicate it being anything else but this mouse. My other mice don't have that issue, and neither do my other USB devices. Also, I downloaded a driver/software for this mouse from the manufacturer's website, if I recall correctly, and this caused my mouse to randomly click every few minutes. During a match in CSGO, you could imagine how this could really mess things up. After uninstalling the software, the mouse went back to normal. Get this mouse. It really is an amazing value, and I'd pay more than I did for it. I got this for about $17 with Prime shipping. I would easily have paid $25 to $30 knowing what I do now. Let's look at appearance. This mouse looks great, in my opinion. It has a very aggressive look, and the pairing of a red and black color scheme is a nice touch. The color LEDs appear on the back of the mouse and both sides, which add a very cool effect. Additionally, the side thumb buttons and the thumb rest are textured in/ or slotted for design and grip. Score, 9/10 for appearance. Let's look at build quality. So far, the mouse is holding up well. There is a non-rubberized coating that is more like a matte finish on the main body of the mouse. This seems to be slip resistant and helps with grip. The buttons are very clicky, which is great. I play CSGO a lot, and I had an issue with my RAT7 where it felt as if some of the buttons were a bit mushy. I immediately noticed the difference with the buttons of this mouse and love the switches that the buttons use. The mouse, overall, feels like it will hold up structurally for some time, and all of the pieces look well finished and put together. The braided cable tells me they went the extra mile to make sure this mouse delivers. Feel, this is the big category for me. The mouse feels very light, even with the weights inserted into the chassis. It feels light enough that I almost wish it were just a tad bit heavier, but this could merely be just personal preference. One other complaint I have is the feel of the thumb rest. It is a piece of textured plastic, which seems like good quality nonetheless. My gripe is that it would be nice to have something a little grippier or rubbery there to make my thumb feel a little more like part of the mouse. Although, I must say that I enjoy the slotted thumb rest, and it seems to help with keeping my hand/thumb cooler. The buttons feel great and responsive. Not spongy at all. I love the crisp click that this mouse has on all of the buttons. There is only one button to change the sensitivity, so it would have been nice to have another one to change it the opposite way. In CSGO, I like to down my sensitivity depending on what weapon I am using, and it can be tedious to have to click 3 times on one button to cycle the sensitivity back to my original one. The mouse wheel is extra wide, which is amazing. The rubber grip on it ensures that you don't slip when using the scroll wheel. Lastly, This mouse's lightweight feeling also gives it a feeling of being cheap. I do not look at this mouse as being cheap at all, but more like a very good value for what you get. With that said, maybe it is just me and a heavier weighted mouse would make that feeling go away. The low weight, however, makes it very easy to move the mouse a tiny distance on screen. Which leads me to the mouse feet. My RAT7 felt like it would jump around a bit when I would try to move my crosshair a tiny distance. I think this was a combination of the mouse feet and the wide design of the mouse. This mouse has no issue with tiny movements and I feel like I can manipulate the mouse very easily and securely. Let's look at value. Cannot beat the value. I paid $17.00 with overnight Prime shipping for a 6-button, braided cable, laser mouse with adjustable sensitivity and awesome button switches. I cannot find a good reason to use my other mice over this one. I would highly recommend this to anyone. The price is low enough that you have no reason to have it, even as a backup mouse. Some mice are good for certain things, so if you find that you don't need your ultra-hyped, overrated $75 mouse, give this one a try. I would buy it again and will now look at Redragon's other products, such as their keyboards. That is the end of this review. To view the latest price of this mouse, click the link in the description below the video.